Day two of my spiritual journey and sharing about it here on YouTube. Something I've learned about my creative process is that I sort of find out what it is that I'm creating by creating it. So I'm bringing that same spirit to this sharing on YouTube. And what I'm feeling called to share in general is my spiritual journey in the spirit of we're all in this together, and each of us is in our own journey, but we also are following in similar footsteps. And there are these themes that emerge from spiritual journeys across the board that have to do with surrender and tapping into being part of something larger, which is simply inherently how existence is, right? Like we are all part of this great unfolding universe. And even if you don't vibe with any bigger question of like a higher power, just the universe itself is enough to work with. And in fact, that's where I began to dislodge myself from committed atheism. And where I am today in my journey is I am going through a dark night of the soul, a time of really feeling myself in deep conflict with myself. I'm in a deep struggle with parts of myself, the ego, inner kids, parts of me who really don't want to change, who don't want to surrender, who are so deeply attached to controlling things, to keeping things the same, and in particular to trying to keep me the same. Which is funny because, of course, in the last few years, I've changed so much. And there are these particular ways I am in this moment. The demand for me is to get myself out there more, to reveal myself more, to allow myself to be messier and less perfect and less buttoned up, contained, and like let her rip a little bit more. And so my intention is to use these videos as an opportunity to do that. What's it going to look like? Well, part of it is that I'm really not planning what I have to say at all. I have a podcast, a daily podcast, the Fairy Godmother Daily, where I am orienting myself to share a message, to share this message that I feel in part through the sharing that I've done on the Fairy Godmother Daily. I now have this sense of like the message that I have to share is about the new earth and about both the inevitability of the new earth, and that the way that we get there is through our own personal action, and in particular our personal relationship with ourselves. So in that space, I'm always speaking to that, and I create a weekly theme. And so there's this structure that involves some planning, although of course I'm also always inviting in inspiration. But for this YouTube channel, at least right now, I'm sitting down, turning on the camera, and allowing myself to speak and sort of find out what it is that wants to come through me, with no plans and also with no specific intention to be useful or valuable to you, my listeners. I certainly hope that I will say things that speak to you and resonate for you and offer you a place on your path, and the place that you are is your own particular way, but that you and I meet each other in a moment when what I have to say resonates for you. But what I am saying because it's what's coming through me, and it's because it's what I need to say. And sort of trusting in that spiritual and natural truth that what it feels right for a being to create is also right for a complementary being to receive. What is right for an apple tree to produce apples is right for creatures who love apples to receive. And that's how nature works, right? Is a being is inspired to create what is theirs to create. And the receptive audience is built in. And this is a different orientation to creation and sharing for me, where I've really tried to be useful, tried to be valuable. And in that trying, in that like leaving myself, I know there's some self abandonment, and I move into this performance mode that is part of that sort of protective bubble wrap mode that I talked about yesterday. So today was just from the heart. And so if you are also in a dark night of the soul, in a time of like, what the fuck am I doing? Feeling like you're at war with yourself, feeling uh, receiving that message as a underlining or confirmation of that question. If you're feeling like you're at war with yourself, what I'm grounding in is the knowing that every inner being, I think of myself as being an inner collective, that every member of my inner collective, and yours too, is doing their best to contribute to the thriving of the whole. And so all of these wars are just a misunderstanding. And that's true on the inside, and it's true on the outside. That like all of these conflicts that we are navigating globally come from us not recognizing that we're all in this together. That in a war with, Joe Hudson says, in a war with yourself, you always lose. And that's true for humanity too. Humanity loses every time there is a large or small war and one human loses. Because every single one of us has something so precious and unique to offer, and the world needs it. Going back to that idea of what you want to create is also what the world needs to receive and wants to receive. Every time someone doesn't get to live into their potential, whether it's because they were bombed to death in Gaza or they were smothered to death of their spirit by an oppressive or toxic dominant paradigm, or the circumstances of their life, they the loss of them is a loss for all of us, inside and out. And I know the magic is that as I free myself inside, I become a site of freedom. And I know more and more people are becoming sites of freedom, love, authenticity, like truly becoming available for a kind of connection that has not largely been available before. I believe that these times are creating the conditions that are forcing more and more of us into this awakening so that we can connect and weave together in a mycelial way to emerge as the new human, the new humanity that is part and parcel with the new earth. So if you are in your own dark night of the soul, and I'm saying this to myself also, take heart. The darkness is necessary for the roots to grow. Love you, friends.